Hi, Clive Daly and Kerry Daly from the Daily Hub here today, and we're delighted to have Peter Taylor with us to talk about his business and some of the challenges and the elements that he's involved with. Peter, why don't you just start off by saying who you are and what you do?
Clive, Kerry, great to see you, and lovely to chat. Love talking to people. I'm the managing partner of Paris Smith, and we're a law firm based in the Central South, offices in Southampton and Winchester, and with a very clear sense of purpose, which is to enable our clients to succeed, whatever success looks like, through having a positive experience with legal excellence. But also what we're really passionate about is ensuring that our communities, that they thrive. And we see ourselves as having a key role in that because we've been around for 200 years. So our networks are very strong, as well as having the legal skills within the firm.
Yes. And I'm sure you haven't been around for 200 years.
Sometimes I feel it.
But I guess right now, the relevance is obviously the issues that people are going through because of the current situation of lockdown on business. What are the most relevant questions that you're getting now, or issues that you're having to handle with your clients?
So I think there are three phases that people go through in business at the moment. There is a reaction phase, there is a sustainable phase, and then there's the thriving phase. And people will go through that at different paces. So the reaction phase was one of probably fear. What are we going to do? How do we look after our staff? How do we make sure that they feel really safe? Cash flow is almost as if the tap had been turned off for many businesses, particularly in the hospitality, the events, the air industry. But I think it's that fear and need to look after your people that was paramount. So helping people in that journey and giving them guidance, particularly about what we were doing as a firm. We got 260 people, being able to show emotional intelligence and empathy with them, and making them feel really safe. Because I think if you can make your people feel safe, they will then trust you, and that would also drive performance anyway. But making that safe and that building that safety and that trust is important. Obviously, the cash issue. The sustaining phase is then building on that trust, accessing the government funding and the loans where you need to, helping in that, and then helping businesses understand what their supply chain is, what conversations need to be had within the supply chain. We're seeing conversations around force majeure of commercial contracts. Some are wanting to make sure that those relationships stay, but just adjust the contracts a bit. Furloughing issue has been huge, and our employment lawyers have been doing a lot of work on that. And there's some fairly discrete questions that follow out of that that we've addressed. Conversations with landlords around rent holidays, rent reductions, and then moving on into the thriving phase. That is really planning and preparing for the future and understanding what your purpose is as a business. Is that purpose that you had in January, is that still relevant now? For some businesses, they actually may not have a purpose, and they probably need to be starting to think about that. And if you're clear on your purpose, then it's going to be looking to flex the how and what you do. So understanding what the needs are of your customers and your clients, how can you best meet those needs in an agile world? I think some of the habits that are being formed over the course of the last 5 or 6 weeks, some of those are going to be carried forward. Social distancing is going to continue for quite some time. So you've got to build that into your thinking. But responding to those needs of your clients and customers in that planning process is immense. I think there will be a discussion around resilience in business models, and probably the bit of a trade-off between resilience and efficiency. I think the just-in-time model that many have adopted up to now actually has really probably put resilience into the the wrong place. And I think actually people now realise that they need to be resilient throughout their business in order to make sure they are sustainable long term, so that they can withstand any shocks like this that may come across in the future.
Yeah, yeah. And you make some really, really valuable points. And what's interesting is that we sort of come at clients from a similar direction. So we're business optimists in that right now, if it's not working, we've helped businesses where customers have stopped coming, so they've shut the door. And we've gone, no, let's open it and just find a different way of servicing your customer. And you make that point, which is if people have got skills of their business, well, maybe you're making the wrong product now. It needs to be a different product for the future. But what we have found is that it's working in partnership with businesses like yourself, where you need that expertise, because it's really quite technical at the moment. The furlough criteria has been quite complex. We almost feel like experts now, but we were never supposed to be,
No.
We're business consultants, but it's meant that a number of people have had to upskill. But the value from your businesses have become much more now. We've helped a couple of businesses that have been going through that tough time at the moment.
Yeah.
Are you seeing businesses moving through from that reaction phase to that sustaining phase that I talked about?
Yeah.
But I think there's still an element of reaction. I think some of the businesses that we've worked with at the moment were really not ready for what has happened. So it's just been manic and a bit of firefighting, really, hasn't it? And we're still on that page now, just trying to muddle through. So I don't think we're quite with those businesses, we're quite there yet.
But what's interesting now is that we start moving into a new phase that we've encouraged them to look at. And we've said to them, actually, what you need to do now is that remobilization of your business. We've got one which is in manufacturing that will be a 3-week process to remobilize their business. We've got another that's more supplier demand of other customers, and they will remobilize on the demands of the customer. So it's very different to the type of business that you've got and the dynamic that you have.
Yeah. And are you finding that they are receptive to these observations and guidance that you're providing to them?
Yeah, I think we do it in a real way, and we back it. So our experience is in running businesses, so we can give more hand-on experience. Although these are unprecedented times that no one's been through right now. But similar experiences that say, look, now's the time to plan. Now's the time to engage. You mentioned it yourself, Peter, that now there's time to make sure that you engage all of the team within your business, whether they're on furlough, working at home, or working in the business, because you need to bring everyone along the journey. And especially when you've got a large part of your team which is on furlough, they'll come back and they'll go, well, why isn't the world the same as it was before? When the other 40% of your workforce have gone, where have you been? We've been working in a different way. Here I've got the mask on in the workplace. So we do need to make sure we bring everybody along. But actually, they've been very responsive. We've been really encouraged.
Yeah, they have.
And pleased for the help, really.
Yeah.
I think that communication piece, particularly with those who are on furlough leave, is immense. And I think businesses need to be very much focused on that and making sure that those people feel engaged and valued. And actually, you don't allow a vacuum in communication to arise, because otherwise you do that, there's a grave risk that the chimp on their brain will immediately take over and fear and fright will ensue. Whereas actually, if you make them feel as if they're part of this ongoing journey that you just talked about, you'll have a win-win situation. They'll come back energized, inspired, and ready to go. Yeah.
And actually, I guess our final point on that is about keeping people so they feel safe on return. We've gone through this process where it's stay at home, and then everyone goes, we're used to that now. And then you go, no, it's okay. You
come back now.
Come back to work.
I'm not ready to come back yet.
With 21 days to make a habit, we've done that now. We've embedded it to the majority of the population. And now we've got to say, no, you're going to need to come back into what obviously is a more risky environment. So we've been working with some clients to say, make it as safe as possible, so they feel comfortable to come back to the workplace.
And how willing are you seeing business leaders to show vulnerability, personal vulnerability? Because I think that's important.
I have to say they weren't initially, but if I look at the communication that we've worked on with them, is to say actually, this is a real situation, and I think about being real leaders of a business, to then say, well, if it wasn't for the furlough situation, we would not be in business at the end of this. If it wasn't for the government, as much as everyone can complain about certain strategies of the government, if it wasn't for that one single point of furlough to support, then many, many more businesses wouldn't survive. And one or two that we've worked with have gone, yeah, if it wasn't for that, we'd be out of business.
Yeah.
We wouldn't survive. So I think this new normal, as we call about the talk of it, is actually more empathetic, as you mentioned, and also more real, I think.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, business leaders showing that it is tough, that they do have to make some heart-wrenching decisions, and that it's as emotional for them as it is for everybody else. I know that when I first got told that I was shielded because I had a kidney transplant and was going to be kept at home for 12 weeks, it was a tough day. And I've got I don't hold back in talking about that stuff. And showing that personal vulnerability in a controlled way, probably, to your team, actually I think that helps, because they realise that you're only human as well. And it builds that strong connection.
Yeah. We've seen that from Boris Johnson as well, haven't we? For the leader of your country to also go through it, everyone goes, well, at least he knows.
And I think he's coming maybe up with some different ideas that maybe he wouldn't have come up with had he have not been sick. And now he's been through that sickness and he's been in the hospital and he's done that bit and he's come back out. Yeah, I think that's a good thing in a way, to live it.
But it is, that showing your own vulnerability says that I understand. Yeah. I also fear it, so, we've spoken openly about, well, I go shopping every 5 or 6 days. It's a bizarre situation. It's unreal. It's like being on a film set. And that is stressful. So,
and I think that's really helped communication, hasn't it, with the businesses that we've worked with. If we weren't here now trying to have the same conversation, I think they would be more, no, we're not, we're all right here, we're doing our thing. I think they would have pushed back, but because we show the vulnerability, we are all in this same boat. Every single person on the planet is in this same boat, that there is that empathy now, isn't there? There is more of an understanding
and shared experience of a nation. And I think for your business, that I guess historically could be seen as, well, it's the legalities, it's the number crunching. That's how you talk about what you've been doing, means that you've lived through it as well with clients in almost a more consultative way.
Yeah, I think that the world of the law is changing, and I spend a lot of time talking to businesses about their strategy for the future. My background is as a commercial litigator, and nobody really wants to know a litigator if they can avoid it. So I spend a lot of time in talking to them about how do we prevent the problem arising in the first place, on the basis that prevention is a lot easier and a lot cheaper than cure. But also those strategizing and thinking about the route to market and how to be, say, as resilient and as robust as we can be for the future. I think that the other aspect, and you touched on it, Clive, is around collaboration. I think there will be a lot more collaboration between businesses, and particularly those who are able to advise. I don't know whether you're seeing more of that and more openness and willingness to approach life in that way.
Yeah, actually, we're currently working with JCB brand is a client of ours, and we've spoken to a number of different elements that a business is connected with them. And actually everyone is open to, how can you help?
Yeah.
We've had a lot of
how can you help me?
Which is why we're really busy at the moment, because everyone's going, yes, we need that.
Soak it up.
Yeah, definitely. Around the world, we're working almost more internationally than in the UK.
Yeah.
Definitely there is a hunger out there.
Yeah. And actually we said that before, always when we've talked about our business, there always seemed to be more of a hunger abroad. So in that respect, yes, it has changed in that there's more hunger in the UK now. So actually we are busier in the UK now, and we weren't.
And I think that is probably an indication, it may be a reflection of the fact that people realise that there's going to be change. We're not going backwards, and change can be exciting. And I'm a person who's very much optimistic about the future. But shortening those supply chains and creating different dynamics is immense. But also, I'm probably coming full circle, remembering the individuals behind what's going on as well, and those individual members of business who are now finding themselves still in a very unusual place, working remotely, away from their colleagues. So we've developed what's called the PS Community Hub. We come together with local IQ to build that and provide a free resource to anybody to access for support their mental well-being, their physical well-being, nutrition, family fun, because we know that we are in new territories and we need to be collaborating and working together to support individuals as well as businesses.
Fabulous. That sounds great.
Yeah. Peter, you leave us rounded off on a very great note, which is it's all about collaboration, and we look forward to collaborating with you more in the future. So thank you very much.
Likewise. Great to chat to you both.
Thank you.